Hey guys, we are so happy that you're with us today. We are going to get started here in just a few minutes, but I do want to let you know we'll be doing these Zoom series every Thursday at 1 p.m. You can learn more about careers in the entertainment industry. And for your safety, we have all of your microphones muted, but if you would like to ask a question, you can type that question out in the chat feature. If you're on your cell phone, you probably have to hit the more button in order to be able to see the chat box. So be sure as we're talking to get those questions in, and we'll be sure that Layne will answer the questions here in just a little bit. So I'm going to let Layne introduce himself. Let me get you unmuted just a second. All right, how are you, Layne?
Thanks, April. I'm doing well. How are you doing? Cam, how are you doing, buddy?
He's muted, so he can't talk back, but I see a thumbs up. So
I'm going to give him one of these here.
Yes.
That dude rocks.
Thank you so much for joining us today. If you just want to take a few minutes and introduce yourself, maybe tell a little bit about what you do with your career.
Oh, sure. Well, my name is Layne Flournoy. I am, amongst other things, I am the concert director for a company based out of Nashville called Marathon Live. And this is a company that owns and operates multiple venues across the country. One's in Little Rock, Arkansas. One is in Nashville, Tennessee, another in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and another in Kansas City, Missouri. All of these venues are in the capacity of about the smallest being 1,400 and the largest being 2,000. And my day-to-day job really is I'm the one who goes out and I buy the shows for these concert venues. When I see tours coming through, I'm generally the one who goes out and, like I said, buys the show. For all of you who maybe read, if they watch the opening credits of a movie or the post credits, I'm the one. My name would come up as the one as the director, the one who puts on the shows, and then I have a team that does the rest.
Very cool. So when you say buy the shows, could you give us a little bit more explanation about that, what that is? As a high school student, a lot of these students may not know exactly what you mean by that. And I'm not sure I even do. So could you explain? Sure.
So basically, so every artist has a team as well. Like Cameron has an agent. He probably manages his own band, but basically I work hand in hand on this level with just like I have a team, someone who does the marketing, someone who does the production side of things. An artist has their team as well. They have an agent, they have a manager, which is very different from each other. But basically I work hand in hand with agents every day, which is the artist's representative. And he comes to me and says, hey, this artist wants to come play your venue. So I say, okay, I'm the one who works out all the money details, when the date's going to happen. All of those details that come with that, I basically put it in place. We come to an agreement, and we just kind of go from there.
Very cool. So tell us a little bit about your path that you took to get to where you are today. What does that look like?
I'll try to give as much of the straight and narrow as I can. It's a bit of a windy road, but long story short, I went to school in Birmingham at UAB, and towards the end of my when I was getting ready to graduate, I'd become really interested. I just started booking some smaller artists, local artists, and it got me really passionate about music business. I really enjoyed it and decided to make a career change right when I graduated. My parents didn't like that too much. They thought law school was going to be a better option, but I think now they're okay with it. So yeah, I started out basically just I was booking shows around Birmingham, smaller artists, and it just kind of grew from there. And then I ended up buying a venue in Birmingham, and I still own that venue. It's called Zydeco, and we do a lot of concerts here, of course. And then I started doing other things. I worked as an agent for a company. I still continue to produce shows by myself as artists continue to grow and grow and grow. And so then I also manage a band, an upcoming band. So I was kind of really dabbling in different jobs in the business, and then decided that I really enjoyed, I thought it was time for me to make a change and work for a bigger company, and that's what I did.
Awesome. So I assume that this isn't what you originally thought you were going to be doing if you were planning to go to law school.
Oh no, yeah, this thing really evolved, and it's funny. I mean, back when I made that decision, I had no idea, April, that this was going to grow into this. At the time, I didn't know it was going to go anywhere. I thought, 6 months later, I would be completely doing something different. So, yeah, it's almost like you dip your toe in the water of something, and then you realize, hey, the water's fine. Then you start wading out, and you can find different directions to go because there's a lot of different opportunity in the music industry.
That I learn about new careers every single day. It's so interesting. But so what would be the best part about your career, and maybe explain why?
I would say the best part of my career, obviously, I just to give you an example, I love it sometimes when I work on some programming for my venues, programming, putting in certain concerts, and it all starts with just me having a phone conversation with someone from the beginning of that, or me doing a research on a particular artist who I think, hey, I think a lot of people would really enjoy this concert with this artist, and it's just I'm the only one thinking of this. And then from the start of that, when you get through all that, and then you're standing near the box office of a venue, and you see people leaving, and you see hundreds or thousands of people walk out and say, wow, that was the greatest time I've ever had. And just to see the excitement on those people's faces, and that was an experience of a lifetime for them. That never gets old for me. That's probably one of the most gratifying things that I get to do, is to see it from start to finish, and seeing the end result. That's probably my most favorite thing.
Well, and music truly has the ability to change people and open people up. So I can imagine that's incredibly fulfilling for you.
It certainly is. I can't speak so much like someone like Cameron. I realized the one thing I will tell you this, I realized a long time ago, as much as I love music, which is really what my passion for music is what got me started. But I was smart enough to realize very soon that if I'm going to do something with music, I need to be on the back side of the curtain, not the front like Cam is. So he gets to see it firsthand, all those smiling and screaming faces from the stage, where me, I have to kind of hide behind the curtain a little bit.
And I think so many times people don't consider careers in the music industry because they think they don't have talent or they're not a performer. But one of my favorite questions, and I'll go ahead and get to this, is what are some careers that you have discovered as an adult? And it doesn't even necessarily have to be in the music industry, but that you had no idea even existed as a high school student.
Oh, goodness. You said it right. I mean, when I was in high school, I did not realize all the intricacies of this business. But and that's why I think this program is so great, because I didn't have this opportunity to learn these things when I was in high school, way back when. There are so many different jobs in the industry that people can be very successful in. Someone's got to make the artist sound good. So someone's doing the production side of things. Someone has to be there to manage the artist while they're on tour. Someone has to be on the record label side of things, making sure they can put CDs, or I don't know if you kids have that anymore, but someone has to make sure they get their music on iTunes. Someone has to record that music in the studio. The list is endless of possibilities in the music industry as far as job opportunity goes.
So if there are some students on here that are interested in the music industry, but maybe they don't know what all is out there, do you have any recommendations of what are some things that they could do now in high school to try to figure out those different career paths that are available?
Absolutely. Well, first thing I would do is go talk to their music director at their school. I mean, I know that that there are music directors that obviously, there are a lot of kids that play in the band and whatnot, but that's not for everyone. So I would say that's definitely a great resource for that. But there are plenty. There's great information out there. Live Nation puts out some good Q&A stuff for people like that. There are certain schools that have music. It's grown so much. This didn't have it back then, but for a high school student that's towards their end of high school, there are several schools in the Southeast that offer music business degrees. The University of Georgia has a really good one. Middle Tennessee State University has a very good one. Belmont University has a really good one. So there's definitely some schools in the Southeast that have that program.
Yeah, and I'll put in a plug for my alma mater too. The University of North Alabama has an awesome entertainment industry program.
Okay, great.
Too. So, yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of students just don't know where to start. So, giving them a starting point of where to look for those top careers and education in that industry. Which, let me ask you this: based on what you've seen, do you think it's always necessary for students to go to college to get a degree to work in the music industry, or do you see some other pathways or routes that they could take as well?
Obviously, I mean, I think furthering your education is always a good thing. But who knows? I have a 2-year-old. Hopefully, I feel the same way when he's in high school. But there are definitely other avenues. There are vocations like if you want to get into the sound side of things, there's definitely a place for that. I mean, there are definitely vocational schools for that. If you want to get into running sound for an artist, no, there are definitely some career paths within the music industry that doesn't necessarily require you have a degree. But I do highly encourage that. You're definitely going to be considered for job opportunities before someone who doesn't.
Awesome. So
but it's not necessary.
So what would you consider to be your biggest professional achievement, and how did you make that happen?
Oh, goodness. I would say, wow, I could talk about that all day, but I'd say personally for me, I met my wife at a concert. So I would say personally, that's the biggest for me. But to get specific, I would say the most gratifying, some of the most achieving things that I've done, I would say that seeing an artist grow from nothing to now they're selling out arenas, those are always the biggest things for me. I've had several artists do that. Just to give some examples, Luke Combs is an artist that, I mean, they were, the first time I worked with him, there were 5 people there to see him. Same thing with Luke Bryan. I had the chance to work with him very early on. Kevin Gates, a very good hip hop artist, the same. So I would say that is some of my most achieving things is when I get to see an artist on the start very small and then grow very large. Another thing I would say, being in the music business, sometimes the general public doesn't necessarily see what we get to do. So when an artist, I would say something that I really appreciate is when an artist, they put out an album or a CD and they always have a little special thanks box on the inside cover and you get to see your name printed in that. That's always very gratifying.
That sounds super exciting. Which I'm like you. I don't know if students really use CDs anymore, but I know I sure did. So I always read the inside cover.
As did I.
So, what is something that you wish you would have learned at a younger age that would have helped you be more successful or get you to where you are today at a quicker pace?
Sure. Study. Pay more attention in school. I mean, that's the easy answer. Listen to your teachers. They're definitely not there just to give you a hard time. They know what they're talking about because they've been there and done that. Listen to your parents, obviously. But at the same time, I mean, I wish that I would have maybe explored other opportunities. I would say I wish I would have been more open-minded to things than. So I highly encourage that because I think if I would have maybe done that a little more, whether being so concerned with other things going on around me that wasn't concerned with school, I think that would have made a bigger difference.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Being able to have an open mind and not have, just those few careers that are pushed so much when you're in high school, being able to look outside of that, I think is a huge thing. So
absolutely.
Yeah, so we're going to get to a few of the student questions, and I see a few that have popped up. But students, if y'all have questions, just type those into the chat bar, and we'll get those questions answered for you. So for the first one, okay, so this one says, do you ever get to hang out with famous people?
Who's the person that asked that question?
That's going to be Jesse.
Jesse, first and foremost, one thing I've learned is they're people just like us. They eat like we do. They go to the bathroom like we do, and they sleep like us. So yeah, I've had the chance to work and hang out with some pretty cool people, I would say. So yeah, it's that's the one thing I've learned from that is they're people just like us. Most of them are approachable. some not so much, but that's just like anyone else in life. So yeah, that's definitely one of the gratifying things, that you get to really hang out with some really neat people.
So, how long did it take for someone like Luke Combs to go from playing for 5 people all the way up to where he is now? That's an incredible success story.
Well, it's funny, and I know Cam could probably talk about that some, but he's really kind of an anomaly. Things like what he did does not happen often. Like literally, the guy from out of nowhere didn't have a lot of background in music. He moved to Nashville knowing a couple of songs, and he went from that to now he's selling out everything. But I will tell you, I've got to hang out with Luke many, many times, and that couldn't have happened to a better person. He's a solid gold human being. He cares about his fans. He cares about his team, and he means what he says. But someone like him, you rarely see that. The career path is usually much longer to get from point A to where he started into where he is now.
So what do you think attributed to that for him?
Honestly, I think really just surrounding himself with a lot of good people. Like going back to what we were talking about a minute ago, April, about some people there are a lot of different paths in the industry. He worked with a lot of he found some really good people to write with off the bat. And just people like I guess myself, who just saw the potential very early on and really invested their time and their money and into what he was doing. They kind of saw what he was doing. They saw what he had the potential to be. So I would say that's what attributed to the most, just surrounding himself with the right people and having a good work ethic. He works very hard at what he does.
And hard work's the key.
To say the least.
So the next question we have is, I would like to do something similar to what you do for a career. Are there any opportunities for me as a high school student in the industry as opposed to working at a fast food restaurant or something that other 16-year-olds normally do?
Who asked that question?
That would be Darby.
Darby, so I will tell you, I worked in the service industry as a server and waiter for a long time. That's where I got my start, actually. So learning those people skills are very important. You'll realize one day how much you learn from working in the service industry. It's learning those people skills. So for what it's worth, I mean, I've had 5 interns at this point, and all of them have gone on to different avenues in the business. And have been very successful at it. One is an agent now. One owns their own production company where they go out, and when you go see a concert somewhere, the stage and the sound and the lights, that all that you see, that's what they do now. So yes, there is opportunity for someone in high school like you. Once again, I highly recommend reaching out to some of your concert venues that you see in town. Just reach out and go by there, send them an email saying, hey, I would love to learn more about the business and what can I do to come in and help. People are always needing like a street team, basically, and that would be something really good for high school. I definitely have hired some people to do that for me. Young adults did that before, where I'm producing a concert. Well, someone has to find out about it, so I give them a bunch of posters and I let them go around town and put those out. There are definitely opportunities for you to get your foot in the door. Like I said, I would reach out to some of your local, anything to do with music locally, whether it's a record shop or it's even your church, their music department there, reaching out to someone there. There's a lot to learn from that aspect as well. Musicians in general, they're always needing some help doing some of the legwork for people to find out what they do.
I love that. I think it's so important to just put yourself out there and ask. So many times you're going to get no's, but to be able to just ask, it's okay if you get turned down, but you might have that really cool experience fall in your lap.
I would definitely agree with that, April. I mean, and that's with anything in life. If you're passionate about something and there's something you really care about and there's something you really want to do, there's going to be opportunity. You just have to really be, if you feel that strongly about it, go get it. Eventually it's going to happen. I know we tell high school students that all the time, but if you have a goal in mind, it's achievable if you just stay the course.
I love that. So we have another question from Jacqueline. This is, do you think being in theater is good experience for a career such as this?
Absolutely, I do. I have several coworkers. In fact, the venue manager, which is the person that works under me at my Nashville venue, she came up in the theater side of things. She's the person that works, all the details from when the show begins that day to the end of it. So she gets a lot of face time with the artists, actually. Yes, I think theater, first off, it teaches you so much about what an artist goes through to prepare themselves to put on their show. And that's just one of the things. I 100% think any school, like Monte Valley, for instance, has a great theater department. And I know several people from that school that have gone on to careers in the music industry outside of being on stage.
Okay, so Michaela wants to know, what degrees or college major options would you recommend if you wanted to go into this business? Even if the degree isn't related to music, what would you recommend?
No, that's a great question. Definitely a business degree is a good one, because it's such a broad degree. It really gets your foot in the door with almost any side of the business you want. I would say that the hospitality degree, Auburn has a really good, in fact, I've had a couple of interns for me, went to Auburn for service and hospitality bachelor's degrees, and they've gone on to do really well in the business. That's a good one. I have a political science history. I have 2 degrees, one in political science and history. I'm not sure if that's such a good one, but I guess it worked for me. Psychology is another good one, excuse me, just because it teaches you so much. I feel like with interacting with people on a daily basis, and I think those are some really good degrees to have. Music business school can sometimes not be affordable, especially at some of the bigger schools, but UNA obviously is a great option. I forgot to mention a minute ago, but it's definitely, some of the schools are maybe a little too expensive. So just because you don't go to school for music business doesn't mean you can't get the opportunity. Theater majors are also really good degrees to get as well.
Awesome. She has one more question. It says, what would be good to have as background knowledge or any other type of just soft skills in your industry? What really helps you be successful?
Yeah. So, the first and foremost is, just being passionate about music. If you love music, that's a good start. And it doesn't matter if it's hip hop or it's country or it's metal or Christian music, whatever. I think the first thing is just having a love and passion for music itself. Is the first thing. But just like anything else in life, I think learning good people skills, learning things about, just having structure in your life, getting up and going to class on time, things of that nature, I really think make a big difference.
Awesome. Well, we have time for, it looks like maybe just a few more questions. I have a question for
Sure.
you. What are some creative ways that you've seen people in the entertainment industry overcome this ongoing health crisis?
Oh, wow. So obviously none of us are allowed to go to concerts right now. So I will be honest, the music industry is definitely one of the major industries that are hurting right now. And I'm very fortunate to still have a job, to be honest. But look, that being said, some of the artists, what they are doing is, they're doing live streams. I'm sure some of you have seen that at this point, where they go on their social media platforms, Instagram, Twitch, Facebook Lives become a really big one. They go on there and they do what sometimes they're doing everything from Q&A with their interaction with their fans. You can obviously still get access to their music. They're not being able to tour, so they're finding other ways to generate money for themselves. And that's basically their iTunes or their Spotify pages, things like that.
Yeah, I think it's.
Sorry, I'm sorry, and also selling merchandise. I've seen a lot of artists putting their merchandise online right now. That's helped a lot.
And this is just such an unprecedented time. Nobody expected this, but to see so many creative ways of how people are trying to make the best of it is really inspiring to me.
I think so too. And it's one of the things that have helped keep me busy is obviously I can't put on concerts live in our venues, but I've started a weekly programming schedule where, like, every week, and we promote it just like any other concert. like on Mondays, we do music lesson Mondays. I have some very good musicians come on Monday, and they, they do music lessons, whether it be with drums or guitar or saxophone. On Tuesdays, I do something called Kids Tunes Days, where I have someone come on. This is much more for the younger kids, but I have them come on, and they, they do kids songs, for the younger kids. Wednesdays is something where I do locals only, where I have a lot of local artists come on and do songs, interact with fans. I do a Saturday night dance party with some of the DJs that I work with. So me being able to program this stuff, it's helped me stay busy, and it's giving a platform for the artists to get their music out there and their craft out there, where they can't necessarily obviously go out and perform live right now.
So if some of our students are interested in those things that you just mentioned, how can they participate or find out more?
A lot of these artists, just if there's an artist you like, I'm pretty certain a lot of these artists are doing some sort of live social media interaction. You'd be surprised. This is actually a good chance to get some real interaction with your favorite artist. Because they're definitely, as you type in questions, they're definitely answering those questions. They're sitting at home just like you, believe it or not. So, and they can't have anyone else around them, so they get pretty bored too. So I highly recommend going to your favorite artist's social media platforms: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I think that's one of the Snapchat. So I highly recommend just following them on there, and they'll give you some times and dates where they are making themselves available.
Yeah. So last question, which artist surprised you the most by actually making it big?
Oh, goodness. There are definitely some, the first time I heard them, I was like, oh, goodness. And then, because Lord knows I've been wrong before. Does anyone, any of the kids out there listening to electronic dance music at all?
Yeah, I don't know if they have their videos on, but maybe raise your hand.
I'm sure they do, but it's definitely some of those artists. Bass Nectar was one that blew my mind. I never thought that would turn into something. I'll give a good example. For those who like country music, Cole Swindell. The first time I saw him, there were 6 people there to see him, and we cut the set short. We'll just say, hey, great job tonight, but we're gonna do something. And it's funny, he actually started out as a merchandise seller for Luke Bryan. That's how he got his start. And he would just, he finally kept bugging Luke to let him open for him. And then, the first time I saw him, he kind of got pulled off stage because it was not good. And obviously, you see where he's at now. So
that's amazing. I love that story. To start at the merchandise booth and then to look at him now, that's crazy.
Yeah. He's someone else that I could not happen to a better human being. He is one of the nicest. I could definitely spend a lot of time on this, which I won't touch and give many names, but there are a lot of artists that you kind of wonder how they got there, but there are many more who it's easy to root for them because they're decent human beings, and he definitely is in that boat.
That's amazing. That's awesome. Well, Layne, we won't take up any more of your time today, but thank you so much for being with us. I think you've given some valuable advice, and I'm sure we'll have wonderful feedback from today.
Happy to do it, April. And look, I think this is a great program that y'all have here. Gosh, I wish that was something I would have had when I was in high school. And Cam, thank you so much for everything you're doing. Whatever this guy says, y'all should totally listen to it. Because he's been there and done that. No, enjoy doing, and thanks for giving me a chance to actually get up and shave today. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yes. Well, you have a great weekend, and we'll talk soon.
One real quick, April, please give my email address. I'm happy to answer any questions or talk with anyone anytime. I'm definitely accessible. I'm happy to talk with anyone anytime they want.
Absolutely. Thank you, Layne. We'll send that out, and we really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Y'all take care. Be safe.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.